Hi guys, welcome to this video. And in this video, I will talk about Next.js 13.4 and the Sanity CMS system. So Sanity is a headless CMS that gives us a lot of flexibility and content management system tool and the user interface through which we can create the content, expose the content and utilize it in any front-end framework through its APIs and Grok query language. Okay. And throughout this video, I will explain you how we can set up, configure it in our Next.js 13 project, how to create schema of Sanity and how to use the Grok query language and fetch the data from its headless CMS. So at the end of this video, I will let you know how we can deploy both Sanity Studio and the Next.js 13.4 project. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go to the documentation of the Sanity. Actually, I've already opened this documentation page, and on the documentation, if you click on the get started and the create a project, and it will give you this line. So I'm going to click on this particular line, and I'm going to open up the VS Code, and in this VS Code folder structure, I'm going to create an empty Next.js 13 project first. So I will write the npx create next app at latest, and I will create a Next.js app using a TypeScript and ESLint. So I can name it blog Next.js 13 Sanity. Okay, and I will go with the TypeScript. I'll go with the ESLint. For this video, I'll not be talking the Tailwind, source directory, app router, and the import alias. Okay. So this will not be a very big Next.js 13 project because the purpose of this video is to integrate and set up the Sanity in our system and fetch the data in a simple UI component. If you want to learn Next.js 13, I've already created a complete crash course and a tutorial series in my channel. Go check out my channel and see the Next.js 13 tutorial series. Okay, so once it gets created, let's go to our browser. And after this, I would like you to actually check out this command line interface page, and from here we need to install this. It is not required actually, but there are few commands that we will be needing and we might need to have Sanity installed globally in our system. Okay, so I've already installed. Go ahead and install this globally. Npm install -- global Sanity at latest, and it will be installed in your system globally, and you can access the Sanity command through any terminal in your system. Okay, so once it's getting installed, let me add another terminal inside it, and I'm gonna go to this source directory and I'm going to create few folders inside it. So first folder I'll be creating within this source directory is the component. So components, and inside it I'm going to create another folder and I'm going to name it portfolio. Okay, and inside the portfolio I'll be creating more files and I'm going to name this portfolio.tsx, and along with this let's create a CSS file for this as well. So page.module.css. I will not be teaching CSS how to design stuff, so I'll just be copying and pasting CSS in this file, right? And I'm just closing it, and let's create a new component in our portfolio.tsx file, RAFCE, and I'm going to name it portfolio with the capital P letter. Okay, and also this portfolio. Alright, and in this portfolio file, we are going to be calling the Grok query language and access the content we create in our Sanity CMS, and we'll be loading the data. We'll be creating some nice looking UI in this file. And let me go ahead to the page.tsx file, and I'm going to remove everything inside the main, and inside it, I'm going to import that portfolio that I've just created. So portfolio, which is from the components. So before I start writing and designing stuff inside it, let's go ahead and set up Sanity in our system. Okay, so I will not be using the second terminal for now. So I should be inside my project folder that I have created for the Next.js 13. And as you can see that I actually copied this URL. I'll copy this URL and I'll just paste it over here. And before actually I hit enter, you will see that it is actually asking that after you run this command, it will ask you to log in with the provider. So you can actually log in with the GitHub account or any Google account. I've already logged in my terminal, but in my case it will not ask me to actually log in again. But in your case, if you are installing first time, it will ask you to log in with your GitHub or Google account. You need to go ahead and log in, then it will be created. Okay, so if you have already created a login with any of your GitHub or Google account and you want to change your credentials or an account in the terminal, then once I run this command, I'll let you know how you can change your account for your Sanity CLI. So you can see that it might have shown. So we will make sure you have an account with Sanity IO, and it detected that I have already signed up with one of my Google account in its using its CLI. Okay, that's why it didn't pop up any window for me to log in. Okay, and now it is asking me few questions. The first question is that it wants to install the Sanity project and it want to create all of its configuration file within directly inside this my this folder of Next.js 13. I don't want to do that. I don't want to mix up the configuration files of Sanity and the Next.js project, so I want to make it separate. So I'll hit enter no, then I will hit enter and I'll go with the TypeScript, and it's installing few latest module variants. And now you can see that it has actually created a new folder, Sanity project, and inside it will create all the configuration files of it, and it has not created anything outside it. Okay, and then it is asking me whether I want to use npm YAML. I will go with the npm, so I have hit enter by selecting the npm. Okay, so it will take some time before it gets initialize all of the file structure and the folder in our Sanity dash project. Okay, so I was talking about if you have installed it globally in your system and you have already logged in with one of your account, there should be a way that you might want to change your account. So make sure you have installed the Sanity in your system globally, and I will open up a new terminal. And if you want to install it in your system, first let me check if I have the Sanity installed in my system. And yes, it is of variant 3.14.3. And if I want to log in with another account, I can actually write the Sanity login, and it will ask me I want to log in with the Google, GitHub or email or a password. I don't want to change it, but I wanted to just show you that how you can change your account in your Sanity using your Sanity CLI. Okay, I'll just cancel it. I'll close my terminal. I'm just waiting for this project of Sanity to be created in my Next.js 13 project. Okay, so once it gets installed, let me go ahead and I can utilize my time and start building up my portfolio component. So I will write import styles from page.module.css. Okay, and then I will be importing some few stuff from the Sanity configuration. But before that, let's go ahead and create few functions. So async function get data this, and this is the function in which I'll be calling a grok query to fetch the data from my Sanity CMS. For now, I will not be writing anything inside it. It's just an empty function that I have written. Okay, and this portfolio, I will start off with a div. All right, and inside this div I will be navigating through the map function and see all the portfolio objects which I'll be processing and iterating through. So for now I'll leave it like this and I will just save this file, and you can see that our Sanity setup and project is installed, and these are all the projects exist in this folder. So this is a separate Sanity project, and it contains its own package.json file, git ignore, and it is a separate complete project. You can see that it is a backend CMS project that you can manage inside your Next.js project. So before we move forward, let's try to run our Next.js 13 project and see how it's looking like. This portfolio component is loading in the page.tsx file. I'm going to open up this page.module.css and I'm going to remove everything from inside. Okay, this was written by default and we have actually removed everything from this page.tsx file, the home route. Okay, so I'm just going to close it. Let's go. And now you can see that this is the heading of the portfolio being shown from the portfolio component. All right, so Next.js app is working fine. And now let's talk about the Sanity project that we have just created. And this is the Sanity project, and we can actually run our Sanity project. As I've told you that it is a separate project. It has a separate package.json file, and you can see that when we come inside the Sanity project folder, it has its own script command. So let's come inside. So I'm going to write the Sanity project. So cd I'm going to write the blog and then the cd sanity, and I can run npm run dev of the Sanity script as well. Okay, so it's currently loading up and I can actually open up the localhost 3000 in my browser. So let's go ahead and open this up in our browser and see what happens. So this is the Sanity Studio, which is running locally currently in my system. And here I need to actually log in with one of my account, which I have used to create my Sanity project. Okay, don't use another account. So it will not show anything. Let me first add few stuff in our Sanity CMS project. So you can see that we have this schema folder inside the Sanity, and this schema have this index.ts file, and this is the main root file. We need to create another file, and I'm going to name it portfolio.ts, and inside it we need to create a schema. So actually if we go over here and we go to the create schema, we can see that it gives us some kind of code that we can copy to actually create the schema for the portfolio. And here I'm going to make some changes inside it. So first of all, I need to name it. I'm going to name it portfolio, and it is of type document, and the name of it would be the portfolio. And then we need to pass it of different fields like the title, description, phone number, ID, and whatever we want to do. So the first one would be the title, and it is of type string, and this one would be of the title. And let's add another one, and I'm going to give it name. It is of type description, and type will be of type array, and then the title, it will be of type description. Okay, and then since the description, it has to be a long text area, and I want this description to be added in a rich text box so that user should be able to bold, italic, and change the font style as well. So I can write off, and since I've added the type array for this, it means that I need to give it an array, and we can give the array in the keyword of. So I'm going to add an object, and here I can write the type block. Okay, let's save it, and I hope that it will work fine and there is no syntax error inside it. So next thing we need to do is go to the index.ts file, and inside it I just need to add the portfolio file which I have created. So portfolio and portfolio, it will be imported above automatically in VS Code. Okay, so I'm going to save this file, and let's go ahead and I'm going to refresh it. It's already running, and I'm going to log in with my account. So I have logged in Sanity CMS Studio, and this is how it looks like. And on the left side, you can see that we have this Sanity project, which is the name of project we created while running that command. And this is the portfolio. Okay, and it contains nothing because we have to add the data in it. But if I click on the add new portfolio, it will show me the title and the description which I have created in the schema. So since the description have to be a rich text box, I added an array. So if I click on it, you can see that it is showing the rich text box, and it is nice looking CMS dashboard. From here we can actually create our content, and we can expose this content through an API in any kind of front-end application. Okay, so let's go ahead, and first of all let's try to add some data. So I'm going to add Angular, and I'm going to add few stuff here. So Angular is a cool front-end framework, so I'll not be writing anything large here. So I'll be publishing it. It is published, and I can create new content here. So I'll be writing the React. React is a cool library of JS. Okay, and I'll publish it as well, and I can add as much portfolio as I want in this CMS. Okay, so these two are created. Now let's go ahead and try to fetch the data in our Next.js project. So first of all, let me add few configuration files in the source folder, and I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to name it utils. So I'll create a new file, and I will name it config sanity actually. So config sanity.ts. Okay, and I will import few stuff. So create client, and it is coming from next sanity, which we need to install yet. So let's go ahead and install in our terminal, and it should be installed in our next app. Okay, so npm install next sanity. Okay, and it will be installed, and once it gets installed we can actually export our configuration file. So export const client equals to create client, and it gives us few stuff. So first we need to add a project ID, and then we need to add the data set. Third, we need to give it API version, and 4 we can give the CDN, which is the true. Okay, so since we know that our Sanity CMS is already running, let's fetch the data from it. So if I go to the vision from here, and we can see that this is the data set, this is the API version, and the data set is production, and this is the API version, which is this. So I can just copy it from here. So the data set has to be a production, and API version was the 2021-10-21. Okay, and we need to get the project ID now. Okay, so in order to get the project ID, I will just be going to, there are multiple ways. So I'll open up this sanity cli.ts, and this is the project ID that is already added, and we use this project ID to create our sanity project as well. Okay, so I'll just close it, and I will paste the project ID over here, and this is the configuration file that we have created, and I'll just close it, and I will import it in my portfolio file. So in this I will just import, and I will write the client from the utils config sanity. Okay, so then I will come to this function that I created, and inside it, this client actually gives us the fetch function. You know that in JavaScript we have a fetch function by default, but this sanity also gives us the fetch function. So const query equals to, first we need to go ahead, and let me tell you, there are different queries for the Grok language. First I will write static and the square brackets, and inside it I have this keyword type equals to, and the name of our schema, which is the portfolio. Okay, so now I have written this Grok language. I'll click on fetch, and you can see that it has given us this results, and this is the same result we have created in our CMS. So I'll copy this query, and I will paste it within these quotes. I have pasted, and next I need to use the client fetch function, client.fetch, and inside it I will pass the query, and then I will be return data inside. Since we are using TypeScript, let me create an interface as well. So interface I portfolio, and it should have a ID of type string, it should have a title of type string, it should have a description of type string, and it should have a created at of type string. Description, it's not a string, it's actually a complete rich text box. It can have a different HTML as well. So I'll not be giving a string. I can, for now, I can give it any data type. Okay. So this is the interface I have created, and I can return this data as an array of that portfolio interface that I have created. Okay. And in this component, let me call that data. So const data equals to, and I can write await get data and as I portfolio of type array. Okay. So I have given to this, and I need to give the async. And after this, I will be logging the data and see if the data is actually being fetched or not. So let's save it and let's run our Next.js project. So let's npm run dev, and its data should be outputted over here. Let's try to, it's actually compiling. Let's try to refresh our Next.js app. So refresh. All right, guys, so you can see that it is successfully fetching the data from our Sanity CMS, and these are the two portfolios that we created in the CMS. All right, now we need to show this data in our UI, and this is just the part of the Next.js. After this, I'll show you how we can deploy our Next.js app, and also how we can deploy our Sanity Studio in the URL. All right, so let's quickly fill up the JSX or the TSX you want. This is something I will not be explaining much. So inside this div, let me paste some kind of TSX. Okay, so this is the something that I have pasted, and I'm using another package portable text, and this is used to actually show the rich text box editor data. If I just show the description, it will throw an error that this is not a string. Because this is of type an array. So to show an array, we need to use this portable text. So we need to install it in our Next.js 13 project, and it is called portable text / react. Okay, so npm install at portable text / react. Oh, it's not the right name, it has to be react. Okay, and before it gets installed, let me import this at the top. So I will be writing the portable text from the portable text react, and this error should be gone. Let's now run our Next.js 13 project and see if our UI is visible to this component or not, actually the content of the CMS. Okay, so let's refresh, and it should be calling the grok query language to this CMS, and we can actually, let me add a few more stuff here. So I'll be creating here node. Node is an event driven language on backend. Okay, so it is published, and I can create another portfolio, and I can name it the JS. So JavaScript is awesome. All right, so our complete data is visible that we have created over here, and our Next.js app is totally configured and set up with the Sanity Studio, which is the headless CMS. Now it's time to go ahead and deploy our Next.js 13.4 app and also the Sanity Studio on a public URL. So first, let's deploy our Next.js app. So I'll be creating a new repository on my GitHub, and this is what I have created. I could create a private one, but I'm going with the public repository, and this is the name of repository. I have not pushed any code to this. So first of all, I need to follow these steps to actually push my Next.js code in GitHub. Okay, so in the terminal, I will first start off with git init, and it is going to initialize my repository with the git, and then I'm going to run git add. Then I'm going to add the commit message, and I'm going to name it first commit, and this is what I was expecting. So I need to add the email and the name, and I won't be adding it globally. I only want to change the name and email for this particular repository. So I will be ignoring global flag inside it. So git config user.email. I can give it any email as I want. So this is the email added, and then I can give the user.name and I can give any name to it. So these are added. Now let's go ahead and commit message. So our files are committed. Now I need to give it some reference that where I want it to be pushed. So first of all, let me create a new branch. Now after creating this main branch, I'm going to choose the SSH URL, and it's up to you whether you want to go with the HTTPS or SSH, because I've already added the SSH key in my GitHub account. So I'll be copying this line to add the origin, and I'll add it, and it is added. Now in order to see if it is added or not, I can check git remote -v, and now you can see it is added. And lastly, I'll be pushing our code. So before I actually push the code, make sure that you have created this file .vercel ignore, and inside it I'll be adding this folder name of my Sanity project, and whatever the name you have given to this folder, Sanity project is the name, so I've added this one. Okay, so now I'm going to push the code to my main branch, and let's copy it, and I'm going to paste it over here, and it's going to push all of my code to my GitHub repository that I've created. And you can see that it has actually pushed the code, and if I refresh the page, and this is complete code that is added over here. All right, so now we will be using this GitHub repository in our vercel account, and we'll be deploying our Next.js 13 project. So open vercel.com, and you need to sign up with your account in the vercel, and we need to go to add new and project, and we need to connect with our GitHub or any other Git hosting provider. So I have connected with the GitHub, and if you have not connected yet, you can go over here and you can add a new GitHub account. So it is showing all the repositories which I have given access to. I have not given access to my whole organization of my account. That's why it's not showing the current repository that I have created. Okay, so I can add that if I click on the add GitHub account, and I can click on it. So I'm already logged into my GitHub account, and if I go down, you can see that these are the repositories it's showing, and it is asking me whether I want to give the access to all the repositories, but I only want to give the selected repository. So I'll go over here and I will select the current repository which I have created, and this is the repository that I have just created, Next 13 Sanity blog, and this is what I have added, and I will save it. And now this particular repository is going to be shown on vercel. So I'm going to refresh the page, and you will see that this is being shown over here, right? And I'll click on import. So I'll just be clicking the deploying, and it will be automatically considering this repository as Next.js repository. So as you know that Next.js is actually built by vercel. So vercel actually automatically detecting our Next.js project. So we don't need to actually handle its configurations and stuff and any kind of setup for deploying our Next.js project. Alright, so it took around 1 to 2 minutes, and it has deployed our Next.js 13 application. And if I click on this window, and it's going to navigate me to a URL where it has deployed our application, and it is working as it is. And you can see this is the URL, and if we go on this page, we can add our custom domain, and obviously we will be adding our paid domain that we have bought, which we are not going to do in this video. And this is how we can deploy our Next.js application. Now let's go ahead and deploy our Sanity admin. Okay, so this is what I want to deploy. So I don't want to run it locally on localhost Tetra 3. So let's go to our code, and I'm going to open this up. Let me clear this. So if I check its project for the Sanity and open up the package.json, you can see that it is itself a JavaScript node project, because it is using dev dependencies of the node and also the scripts, just like we create our simple React or Angular Next.js project. And it has this command, the dev start build deploy GraphQL. So if we want to go and deploy, and there is a URL like this, and this URL is called the hosting and deployment, and As I told you at the start of the video, we need to install Sanity globally in our system. If you have installed it, we just need to run this command sanity deploy, and it will deploy our application. So I'll just run the sanity deploy here, and it will ask me the URL that I want to add. So I need to add a value over here. So value.sanity.studio, and our application for the Sanity will be deployed on this URL. So let's say that Omer Sanity Next.js, and this is the name. I want to replace it with the value. So I'll hit enter, and it is taking some time. It is building our Sanity project, and it will be deployed on the given URL. And if we see at the top that Sanity Studio is a React web application you use to manage content on the Sanity platform. All right, and obviously we can deploy our Sanity admin, Sanity Studio in any hosting provider like vercel, Netlify, or Heroku, AWS. So it is giving us some options and ways we can do it. So this is how we first need to build it. Then we can add some public folder to any kind of hosting provider. So that's it for this video. I'll be giving the links of these pages for the reference in the description of this video, so you can look at these. So if you like my videos, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe my channel. See you in the next video.